What if the man you crossed an entire country to marry was already dead by the time you arrived? The stagecoach wheels screeched as they rolled to a stop in the dusty middle of Redemption Creek, Colorado. Lily Baker held her worn leather suitcase so tightly her fingers hurt. The year was 1875, and she had traveled more than 1,000 miles to marry a man whose face she had only seen in one faded picture. Richard Blackwood. A merchant. A gentleman. A man who promised her a better life than the cramped, hungry days she had left behind in Boston. But as she stepped down from the coach, the truth hit her like the dry wind that swept across the street. Redemption Creek was smaller than she imagined. One dusty road. A saloon on one side, a church on the other, and at the far end, a weather-beaten building with a crooked sign that read Blackwood Mercantile. Her future. Or so she thought. She barely took 3 steps toward her new life when the saloon doors swung open with a crash. A fight spilled out onto the street. A tall man stumbled forward, strong shoulders, dark hair, and a face shadowed by stubble and dust. His hat was crooked, his vest half open, and his boots scraped across the dirt as he steadied himself. He looked rough, wild, dangerous. The kind of cowboy polite women crossed the street to avoid, but when his eyes landed on her, he froze. Those eyes were sharp blue, clear, intelligent, and they narrowed as they took her in from bonnet to boots. "You must be the mail-order bride," he said in a low voice, like gravel and fire. "Richard Blackwood's woman." Lily straightened her spine. "I am here to meet Mr. Blackwood, yes. My name is Lily Baker." The man took off his hat, revealing even more of that unruly dark hair, his mouth twisted, not quite a smile, not quite pity, something worse. "You won't be meeting him," he said. "Richard Blackwood's been in the ground 3 weeks." The world tilted. Lily felt the heat drain from her face. "That cannot be true. I received his last letter just before I left." Quote, "Letters take time," the man said. "Blackwood got himself shot in a land dispute. Buried on Boot Hill." Quote. Lily stared at him, her heart pounding in her ears. Dead. The man she had promised to marry. Dead. She had nowhere else to go, nowhere to return to, no money for the long trip back east. "What am I supposed to do?" she whispered. The cowboy stepped closer. The sun caught his face, and Lily saw he was not drunk at all, just dusty, serious, and far too calm for the news he delivered. "My name's Jake Sullivan," he said. "I own the ranch next to Blackwood's property. I was there when he died. And I reckon you ought to know." Richard wasn't the honorable businessman he claimed to be. Lily swallowed hard. "I need to speak with the sheriff." "Sheriff's day's away," Jake said. "Out tracking rustlers." Before she could respond, the thunder of hoofbeats rolled across the street. A single rider approached, kicking up dust. When he reached them, he looked Lily over slowly. Too slowly. Something in his eyes made her skin crawl. "Well now," he drawled. "Ain't you the little bride Richard wrote about?" Jake stepped between them in one hard movement. "Tucker," he said sharply, "back off." Quote, "Martin's gonna want to see her," Tucker sneered. "He's Richard's brother, and he's claiming everything that belonged to him." Lily felt sick. "I am not property." Tucker grinned. "Martin Blackwood disagrees." Jake's hand dropped near his gun. "She's not waiting. For Martin, she's 'levin' with me." Tucker laughed. "Martin paid the stage line to collect his brother's things. That includes her." Lily's chest tightened. She prayed this was all a nightmare she could wake from. But the dust, the sun, the fear, it was all too real. Jake leaned close to her, voice low. "Steady, sure. Miss Baker, listen to me. You're not going with that man, or with Martin Blackwood. You're coming with me." "Why?" she whispered. "Because you're in danger," Jake said, "and because I won't let them take you." Before Lily could answer, Tucker's hand curled near his gun. Jake's voice turned to steel. "Get back to your boss," he warned. "Tell him Lily Baker ain't his to claim." Tucker smirked. "This ain't over, Sullivan." Quote. He turned his horse and rode off, dust rising behind him like a warning. The moment he vanished, Lily's knees wobbled. Jake caught her arm gently. "You're safe. As long as you stay with me." "Where can I go?" she whispered. Jake looked down at her, his jaw tight, his eyes blazing with something fierce and protective. "I've got a homestead near my ranch," he said. "It's yours if you want it. You'll have food, a bed, and my word you'll be safe." Lily hesitated. She barely knew this man, but the alternative was a nightmare she could not face. "I don't know you," she said softly. Jake nodded. "That's true." He paused, then added something that made her breath catch. "But I'll tell you this plain. You're not living with anyone but me." The words hung between them, strong and final, like a door closing on her old life and opening to a new one she could not yet imagine. Lily swallowed hard. "Then, take me with you." Jake's shoulders relaxed with relief. "Good. Let's move fast. He'll send others." He lifted her suitcase onto his wagon and helped her climb aboard. As the horses started forward and Redemption Creek disappeared behind them, Lily realized her life had changed forever. Not because Richard Blackwood died, but because Jake Sullivan had stepped between her and danger, looked her in the eye, and claimed her safety like it mattered more than his own life. And she didn't know why. Not yet. What if the danger you thought you escaped was already waiting on the horizon? Lily held the sides of the wagon as Jake drove them away from Redemption Creek. The narrow back road twisted through the hills, the horses moving fast, their hooves pounding a steady rhythm against the ground. Dust trailed behind them, rising in thick clouds that swallowed the town from view. Only when the last rooftops disappeared did Lily finally breathe. Jake glanced at her, his jaw tight, his eyes scanning the hills. "You did the right thing leaving with me. Tucker saw you. That means Martin Blackwood will know you arrived. He'll come looking." Lily pressed a hand to her racing heart. "Why? Why does he want me so badly? I never agreed to anything with him." Quote. Jake's voice was steady but dark. "Richard promised him things he had no right to promise. Martin's not after you for marriage. He's after control. He runs a gambling hall in Denver, and he collects women the way other men collect horses." Lily felt sick. "You think he would force me?" "I know he would," Jake said quietly. "That's why we're moving fast." The road smoothed out as they descended into a wide valley. The land stretched in rolling golden waves, dotted with cottonwood trees and grazing cattle. Ahead, the mountains rose tall and blue, guarding the land like silent giants. Jake nodded toward a cabin tucked near a creek at the edge of his ranch. "That's the homestead I mentioned. It's simple, but strong. You'll be safe there." Lily watched it grow larger as they approached. It wasn't fancy, just a two-room cabin with a stone chimney and a small porch, but it felt solid, like a place where someone could breathe and think and rebuild a life. The horses slowed. Jake set the brake and stepped down. He moved with quiet confidence, every action purposeful as he helped Lily to the ground. She touched the porch railing, her fingers brushing against sun-warmed wood. "It's peaceful." "Peace is something worth holding on to," Jake said, "especially out here." He unloaded her suitcase, then gestured to the door. "Go on. Take a look." Inside, the cabin was small and clean. A stone fireplace, a sturdy wooden table, a narrow bed in the corner. Everything simple and practical, yet somehow comforting. Lily turned to Jake. "And you live nearby?" "Just over that ridge," he said, pointing west. "My ranch house is a 15-minute ride from here, close enough to watch over you, far enough to give you your space." Lily hesitated. "Jake, why are you helping me?" "Truly?" He looked at her for a long moment before answering. "Because I know what kind of man Martin Blackwood is," he said softly. "And because no woman should be left alone to face a man like that." Lily's chest tightened with gratitude and fear all tangled together. A knock at the open doorway made her jump. A tall, gray-haired man stepped in, removing his hat respectfully. "Evening, miss," he said. "Name's Hank. I'm Jake's foreman. He sent me ahead to check the place." Jake nodded. "Hank, this is Lily Baker. She'll be staying here a while." Hank smiled warmly. "Then, welcome to Sullivan Ranch, ma'am." Lily relaxed slightly at the kindness in his voice. Jake turned to her. "I'll bring you supplies. Hank will get the fire going." The next hour passed in a blur of activity. Jake brought in bedding, food, tools, and a lamp. Hank chopped wood and checked the roof. By the time they finished, the small cabin felt almost like a home. As the sun dipped low, painting the mountains in orange and gold, Jake walked Lily outside. "You'll be safe here tonight," he said. "Hank and I will take shifts watching the road." Lily looked up at him, her voice barely above a whisper. "I don't want to be a burden." His gaze softened. "You're not a burden. You're someone who deserves a fighting chance." Before she could reply, the distant echo of hoofbeats cut through the fading light. Jake stiffened, his hand going to the revolver at his hip. Lily's heart jumped. "Is it them?" Quote. Jake listened carefully, his eyes fixed on the horizon. "No, only one horse. Probably one of my ranch hands." But as the rider approached, Jake's shoulders tensed even more. A young cowboy named Lewis slid off his horse, his face pale. "Jake," he said, "Tucker rode through the North Trail," said Martin's coming, "at sunrise. 5 men with him." Lily felt the world sway beneath her feet. Jake exhaled slowly. "So he couldn't wait, figures." Lewis looked at Lily with worry. "Miss, he ain't a man you want anywhere near you." Jake stepped protectively closer to her. "She knows, as she won't face him alone." "What do we do?" Lily whispered. Jake turned to her, his voice calm but firm. "We get ready," he said. "Tonight you stay in the cabin. Lock the door. Keep the rifle close." Lily swallowed hard. "And tomorrow?" Jake held her gaze, something fierce burning in his eyes. "Tomorrow, I stand between you and Martin Blackwood, even if it kills me." Her breath hitched. "Jake." He lifted a hand gently to her cheek, his rough thumb brushing her skin. "You're not leaving with anyone but me," he said quietly. "Not now, not ever." The words settled into her heart like a promise she didn't dare hope for. As daylight faded, Jake guided her toward the cabin door. "Rest," he said softly. "I'll be right outside. No one will reach you." Lily stepped inside, closing the door with trembling hands. She set the rifle on the table, her heartbeat echoing loud in the silence. She barely knew Jake Sullivan, but somehow, in the span of one day, she felt safer beside him than she had ever felt in her life. Outside, the crunch of Jake's boots on the ground, steady and sure, was the only sound she needed to fall asleep. Because tomorrow, danger was coming, and Jake Sullivan was ready to face it. What if the man risking everything for you didn't just want to protect you, but wanted you? Lily barely slept. Every creak of the cabin, every whisper of wind against the windows made her sit up and clutch the rifle. Jake had insisted she keep close. The sky outside slowly shifted from black to gray, then to the pale blue of dawn. Her heart thudded painfully. Sunrise. The hour Jake said Martin Blackwood would arrive. Before she could reach for the door, a firm knock sounded. She gasped and grabbed the rifle with shaking hands. "It's me," Jake called softly. "You can open up." Lily hurried to the door and pulled it open. Jake stood there, hat low, revolver at his hip, eyes sharp and wide awake. He had not slept at all. "Are they coming?" she whispered. "Any minute now," he said. "Hank and the boys are positioned around the ranch. We're ready." Lily swallowed. "Jake, I can't ask you to do this." "You didn't ask," he said. "I chose." He stepped closer, his voice low. "And I'd choose it again, every time." Before Lily could respond, the thunder of hoofbeats rolled over the valley. A sick wave of fear washed through her. Jake turned toward the sound. "Stay behind me. Do not leave my side." She nodded, gripping the rifle tightly. A group of riders crested the hill, 6 men, armed and mounted, moving with dangerous confidence. At the front was a tall man dressed too fine for the frontier, Martin Blackwood. His eyes locked on Lily instantly. "There she is," he said with a cold smile. "My brother's bride." Jake stepped forward, blocking her completely. "She isn't yours." Martin's smile widened. Everything of Richard's is mine." "She was never his," Jake growled. Martin tilted his head. $500, Sullivan, for the girl. Don't pretend she's worth more." Lily felt heat rise in her cheeks. Shame, anger, fear, all tangled together. Jake didn't move. "She's not for sale." Martin's expression hardened. "I wasn't asking." In one swift motion he raised his hand, and his men spread out, circling the cabin. Jake pushed Lily back gently. "Inside." "No." "No," Lily said, gripping her rifle. "I won't hide while you fight alone." Jake looked at her like her bravery hurt him. "Lily." But there was no time for more. Tucker stepped forward, grinning. "Martin wants the girl, so let's make this easy." Quote. Jake took a single step, placing himself like a shield in front of her. "You'll take her over my dead body," he said. Martin shrugged. "If that's how you want it." Before he could give the order, the sharp crack of a rifle echoed across the valley. Everyone froze. Hank rode up over the ridge with Lewis and the other ranch hands behind him, rifles drawn and steady. "You ain't taking a damn thing from this ranch," Hank shouted. Martin's eyes darkened with frustration. "You think you can win this?" Quote. Jake lifted his chin. "Try me." Martin sneered and opened his mouth to give the command. But another sound cut through the tension. Hoofbeats thundered from the east. A larger group of riders appeared. Soldiers in blue coats, rifles glinting in the morning sun. The U.S. cavalry. Martin's men stiffened. Jake lowered his gun slightly. "That'll be Captain Monroe." The captain rode forward, raising a hand. "Martin Blackwood," he called. "You're under arrest." "You have no authority here," Martin snapped. "Assaulting a sheriff gives us plenty of authority," the captain said. Gasps rippled through Jake's men. "The sheriff?" Lily whispered. "He was injured?" Jake nodded grimly. "He tried to get here last night. Blackwood's men beat him and left him on the road. Monroe found him." Lily's stomach twisted. Captain Monroe lifted his chin. "Men, disarm them." Chaos erupted. The cavalry surrounded Martin's gang, forcing them to drop their weapons. Martin resisted until a soldier jammed a rifle barrel against his ribs. "You'll regret this," Martin yelled. "She belongs to me." "No," Jake said, stepping forward and taking Lily's hand in his. "She belongs to herself." Lily squeezed his hand, her heart swelling with relief and something deeper she hadn't dared name. Within minutes, Martin and his men were bound and being led away. The cavalry rode off with them, the dust settling slowly as quiet returned to the valley. Lily turned to Jake. His hand was still in hers. His chest rose and fell with slow, controlled breaths. His eyes searched hers, not for fear, but for something else entirely. "You all right?" he asked, softly. Lily nodded. "Because of you." Quote. His thumb brushed the back of her hand, slow and gentle. "I meant what I said last night," he murmured. "I'd have stood between you and that man even if it cost me my life." Lily stepped closer. "And I meant what I said. I don't want you risking your life because of me." Jake swallowed hard. "Lily, I wasn't risking it for duty." His voice shook, just barely. "I was risking it for you." A warmth bloomed in her chest, stronger and brighter than fear. "Jake!" He reached out and rested a hand against her cheek. "You came here looking for a husband you never met. And somehow you walked straight into my life instead." Before Lily could speak, he leaned in and kissed her, soft at first, then deeper when she didn't pull away. The world fell away, until there was only the taste of him, the warmth of his hands, the truth she had been afraid to admit. When he finally drew back, breath warm against her forehead, he whispered, "You're not leaving with anyone but me." Lily smiled, tears of relief and joy gathering in her eyes. "Good," she whispered back, "because I don't want to." Jake let out a slow breath, pulling her into his arms as the sun rose higher, warm, steady, full of promise. In that moment, Lily knew the truth. She had come west to marry a stranger, but she had found the man she was meant for, the one who chose her, the one who fought for her, the one who loved her. And she wasn't leaving him. Not now, not ever.